The warning lights turned red. Alarms screamed through the small ship. Captain Park grabbed the controls and tried to pull up, but nothing worked. His ship, was falling fast toward the gray moon below. "Everyone get to the escape pods now," shouted into his communicator. He heard his crew respond. Lieutenant said she was moving. Engineer Lee reported the engines were completely dead. Medical officer was already running to her pod. The ship shook violently as it entered the moon's atmosphere. Watched on his screen as 3 escape pods launched from his ship. His crew was safe, but his own pod was jammed. The door would not open no matter how hard he hit it. He had only one choice left. He strapped himself into the pilot's seat and held on tight. They hit the ground like a hammer hitting stone. Metal screamed, glass shattered, swirled became darkness. When he opened his eyes, everything hurt. Blood ran down his forehead into his left eye. He wiped it away with a shaking hand and looked around. The ship was destroyed. Broken pieces of metal and wire lay everywhere. Smoke filled the air. Unbuckled himself and fell to the floor. His legs were weak, but they still worked. He crawled to the emergency supply box and found it mostly intact. Water bottles, food packs, a medical kit, a small translator device, and his service pistol. 7 bullets inside. He checked his communicator. Static. He tried different channels but heard only noise. His crew's pods had landed somewhere on this moon, but he had no way to reach them. The distress beacon on his belt was cracked but still blinking with a weak red light. Maybe someone would find the signal. Maybe not. Pulled himself out of the wrecked ship and saw the world around him for the first time. The moon was ugly. Gray rocks stretched in every direction. The sky was brown and thick with dust. The air smelled wrong, like burning metal and rotten eggs. His suit's filter worked hard to keep him breathing. His scanner, half broken, showed him terrible news. The temperature would drop to deadly cold when the distant sun set. The atmosphere was poison, and something large was moving deep underground, though the scanner could not tell him what. He needed shelter. The broken ship would have to do for now. For 2 days, survived alone. He rationed his food and water carefully. He tried to fix his communicator but failed. He watched the brown sky and wondered if his crew was alive somewhere on this moon. He wondered if anyone was looking for them. On the 3rd night, heard something outside the ship. Footsteps, not human footsteps. These were sharp clicking sounds like many hard legs hitting rock. He grabbed his pistol and pressed himself against the broken wall. The footsteps came closer. Then they stopped right outside the hole in his ship's hull. Held his breath. A shape moved into the opening. His heart nearly stopped when he saw it. The creature was tall, maybe 2 meters. It had a body like an insect, with a hard shell that shined in many colors even in the dim light. It had 6 limbs, 4 legs and 2 arms with sharp claws. Its head was triangular with huge compound eyes that seemed to see everything at once. Raised his pistol, his hand was shaking. The creature did not attack. It tilted its head and looked at him. Then it made a sound, clicks and whistles that meant nothing to his ears. He remembered his translator. With one hand still holding the gun, he used the other to turn it on. The device hummed to life and began processing the alien sounds. The creature spoke again. This time the translator gave him broken words. "You fall from sky like me, long ago." Stared at the alien. It was speaking to him, not attacking, speaking. "What are you?" he asked. His voice was rough from not talking for days. The translator worked on his words and produced clicks for the creature. It listened, then responded. "I am cast out, broken one. My people leave me here to die." Did not lower his gun. He knew about insect-like aliens that lived in swarms. Every human pilot learned about them. They were conquerors. They had destroyed entire civilizations. They moved as one mind, one purpose, taking everything in their path. But this one was alone. This one called itself broken. Yor said, "Yes, but not part of swarm, not for long time." Why should I believe you? Your people are killers." The creature was quiet for a moment. Then it slowly sat down on the ground, making itself smaller, less threatening. It set its clawed hands on its legs where could see them. "If I want to kill you," the creature said, "I do it when you sleep. Last night, night before, I watch you, I see you hurt. I see you alone like me." Felt cold. This thing had been watching him for days. It could have killed him easily, but it didn't. "Why didn't you?" he asked. "Long time alone. Very long time. I forget what it is like to see another thinking being. I want to talk. I want to know if you are like the swarm, only take, only destroy." His arm was getting tired from holding the pistol up. He thought about what the creature was saying. He thought about his situation. Alone on a hostile moon. No way to call for help. Probably going to die here. Maybe dying with information about the was better than dying with nothing. He lowered his gun. He did not put it away, but he lowered it. "I'm Captain Park, Korean Space Exploration Corps, human." The creature's compound eyes seemed to brighten somehow. "Human, yes, I hear of humans, young species, curious. Sometimes brave, sometimes stupid." Despite everything, almost laughed. "That sounds about right." "I am called." The creature made a sound the translator could not fully catch. "You say, Vel, close enough." Vel tested the name. "Okay, Vel, you say you were cast out. Why, what did you do?" Vel stood slowly and pointed to its own head with one claw. "I was born wrong, no connection to the swarm mind. Cannot hear the collective, cannot feel what others feel. To them I am like dead thing that moves, worse than enemy, I am mistake." Stared at this alien, this enemy of humanity, and saw something unexpected. He saw loneliness. He saw pain. He saw someone who had been thrown away by their own people simply for being different. He put his pistol back in its holder. "I have food," he said. "Not much, but I can share if you want to talk more." Vel's head tilted again. The translator processed what might have been confusion. "You offer food, too." "I offer food to Vel, that's different." For a long moment, the alien stood very still. Then Vel moved slowly into the broken ship and sat across from. The creature's shell clicked softly as it settled. "Different," Vel repeated. "Yes, maybe different is good." Outside, the wind howled across the dead moon. Inside the broken ship, a human and an alien sat together, two castaways thrown away by the universe, finding something unexpected in each other. A chance, days passed on the gray moon. Learned to sleep while Vel was nearby. It was not easy at first. Every sound made him reach for his pistol. Every movement in the shadows made his heart beat fast. But Vel never hurt him. Vel only watched and talked and sometimes brought strange glowing mushrooms that tasted terrible but gave energy. The translator got better with each conversation. Vel learned human words quickly. Learned some sounds too, though his mouth could not make most of them properly. They found ways to understand each other. On the 5th day, Vel led away from the crashed ship. The journey took many hours through rocky valleys and narrow passages between giant boulders. His legs hurt and his lungs burned from breathing filtered air, but he followed the alien without complaint. Finally, they reached a cave entrance hidden behind a wall of fallen rocks. Vel moved some stones aside and gestured for to enter. What saw inside made him stop and stare. The cave was huge. The ceiling was so high it disappeared into darkness above, but the walls were covered with glowing plants and fungi that filled the space with soft blue and green light. It was beautiful, like standing inside a living jewel. And there was more. Along one wall stood shelves made from flat stones, and on those shelves sat dozens of objects, pieces of technology, tools, containers filled with water, everything organized with obvious care. But it was the other wall that truly amazed. The entire surface was covered with drawings. Scratched into the rock with sharp tools, the images showed stars and planets and strange creatures. Some pictures told stories. saw what looked like a leaving others behind. He saw the same standing alone under an empty sky. He saw it building, planting, creating. "You made all this?" asked softly. 40 cycles, Vel said. "Very long time. I think in human years maybe 35. I come here with nothing. I build everything." Walked slowly along the wall of drawings. His fingers traced some of the lines. The art was not skilled by human standards, but it was honest. It showed feelings: hope, sadness, wonder. "In the swarm," Vel continued, "we do not make things like this. We take, we use, we move to next place. Nothing is kept, nothing is special, everything is only for the collective." "Why are you different?" Vel was quiet for a moment. The alien moved to a small garden of glowing mushrooms and touched them gently with one claw. "When I was young, very small, I found a creature. Small thing, 6 legs, soft body. It was hurt. Other would kill it. It was not useful, but I took it and hid it and tried to help it live." "Did it survive?" "No, it died after a few days, but while it lived I felt something strange. I felt sad for it. I wanted it to not hurt. This feeling the swarm does not have. When I told others about this feeling, they looked at me like I was sick. After that, they started testing me. They found I had no connection to the collective mind. I was broken." Sat down on a flat rock. His legs were grateful for the rest. "So they threw you away because you could feel compassion." "Compassion," Vel tested the word. "Yes, this is the word. The swarm thinks compassion is weakness. Individual feelings are weakness. Everything must serve the collective. There is no room for one who feels alone." Thought about Earth. He thought about human history. Humans had done terrible things to each other too. They had wars over differences. They had treated some people as less than others. But they had also learned to value individuals. They had learned that feelings and art and personal connections made life worth living. "Where I come from," said, "we believe that caring for others even when it's hard is what makes us strong. We call it being human, but I think maybe being human isn't about what species you are. It's about choices." Vel turned to look at him with those huge compound eyes. "Choices? You chose to help that creature even though nobody told you to. You chose to create art instead of just surviving. You chose to talk to me instead of killing me. Those choices make you more human than some actual humans I've met." Vel stood very still for a long time. When the alien finally spoke, the voice from the translator sounded different, softer somehow. "I think about this often. What am I? Not true because I cannot join the collective, but not anything else either, just Vel, alone." "Not alone anymore," said. He meant it. Somehow, in just a few days, this alien had become more than just a strange creature he met on a dead moon. Vel had become something like a friend. Vel showed more of the cave. There was a pool of water that the alien had somehow purified over many years. There were stored supplies from crashed ships that Vel had found across the moon's surface. There was even a small device that generated weak heat, keeping the cave warm during the deadly cold nights. "Other ships crash here?" asked. "Sometimes. This moon has strange gravity, pulls ships down. Most do not survive the crash. I find what is left. I learn, I build." "Do you know why they use this place?" Vel made a sound that the translator interpreted as a bitter laugh. "The swarm has secrets. They tell the galaxy they are perfect. One mind, one purpose, no weakness, but this is lie. Sometimes are born broken like me. The swarm cannot let others know this happens, so they send broken ones to this moon, hidden place, far from everything. We are supposed to die here. They never expect anyone to survive." "But you survived." "I survived, others did not. I found their bodies, I buried them." Vel pointed to a corner of the cave where small stones were stacked in careful piles. 12 others, all died alone before I could find them. Felt a cold anger in his chest. The swarm threw away their own people like garbage, just for being different. They let them die alone on a forgotten moon rather than accept that their perfect collective could produce imperfect members. "That's cruel," he said. "Yes, it is cruel, but cruelty means nothing to the swarm, only efficiency, only the collective, only power." Stood and walked to the memorial stones. He bowed his head in respect for beings he had never met. "I'm sorry," he said. "I'm sorry they died alone. I'm sorry nobody came for them." Vel joined him by the stones. The alien's voice was quiet. "You are strange human. You show respect to dead. Your people and my people are enemies. My people are enemies with the swarm, not with you, not with these 12 who never chose to be part of the swarm's cruelty." Reached out and put his hand on Vel's arm. The shell was hard and cold, but he felt the alien tense with surprise at the touch. "Vel, if I survive this moon, I'm going to tell people about you. I'm going to tell them that not all are monsters, that some of you just want to live and create and feel things like anyone else." "They will not believe you." "Maybe not, but I'll try anyway. That's what humans do. We try even when success is not certain." Vel's compound eyes seemed to glow brighter in the blue-green light of the cave. "Try even when success is not certain," the alien repeated. "I like this. I will remember this." Outside the cave, the wind screamed across the dead landscape. But inside, surrounded by glowing gardens and drawings scratched into stone, a human and an outcast alien shared something precious: understanding. And neither of them knew that their peace was about to be shattered, woke to the sound of Vel moving fast. The alien's claws clicked rapidly against the stone floor of the cave. Even before he fully opened his eyes, knew something was wrong. "They come," Vel said. The translator made the words sound flat but could see fear in the way Vel's body tensed. Who is coming?" "Hunters, hunters, 6 of them. They found your signal." His heart went cold, his distress beacon, the cracked device on his belt that he had hoped would bring rescue. Instead, it had brought death. "How long do we have?" "They land soon, maybe 1 hour, maybe less." Grabbed his pistol and checked it. 7 bullets, same as before. He had not fired a single shot since crashing on this moon. 7 bullets against 6 hunters. "Tell me about these hunters," he said as he gathered his few supplies. Vel moved to the cave entrance and looked out at the brown sky. "Hunters are bred for killing, faster than me, stronger than me. They see in complete darkness. They speak to each other without sound through chemicals in the air, perfect predators." "Can they be killed?" "Yes, but it is very hard. Their shells are thick, their reflexes are fast, and they work together like one creature with 6 bodies." Stood next to Vel. The wind was picking up outside, throwing dust and small rocks through the air. "Why do they want me dead?" Vel turned to look at him. "Because you have seen me. You know the swarm's secret. They throw away their broken ones and let them die. If you return to your people and tell them this, others will know the swarm is not perfect. This cannot be allowed. So they'll hunt us both." "Yes, they will kill me for surviving when I should have died. They will kill you for knowing too much." Thought for a moment. He thought about running, about hiding, about trying to escape. But he knew this moon. He had learned its geography from Vel over the past days. There was nowhere to go. The hunters would find them eventually. "Vel, you know these caves better than anyone. Is there a place we can fight? Somewhere that gives us an advantage?" The alien's compound eyes seemed to focus on something far away. "There are narrow passages, places where they cannot surround us, but you have 7 bullets. There are 6 hunters. Even if every shot kills and it will not, you cannot win." "Then we'll have to be smart. Help me, Vel. Show me how think. Show me their weaknesses." For a moment, Vel was silent. Then the alien made a sound that might have been determination. "Follow me." They went deeper into the cave system. Vel led through passages so narrow he had to turn sideways to fit. They climbed down into lower levels where the glowing fungi grew thick on every surface. Finally, they reached a place where 3 tunnels met in a small chamber. "Here," Vel said, "they will come from that tunnel, the main entrance. They cannot come from the other 2 because they are too small for hunters." Looked around. The chamber was maybe 5 meters across, big enough to move, small enough that enemies could not spread out. "What about those fungi? You said some of them are dangerous." Vel's head tilted with what now recognized as surprise. "You remember, yes. Some fungi release poison gas if broken, others burst into flame when crushed. I have lived here long enough to know which ones are safe. But the hunters don't know." Understanding seemed to pass between them. Vel moved quickly, collecting certain fungi from the walls and placing them carefully along the main tunnel entrance. Helped, following Vel's exact instructions about which ones to touch and which to avoid. When they finished, the tunnel was lined with traps that looked like natural growth. The hunters would have to pass through them to reach the chamber. "Now we wait," Vel said. The wait was terrible. Sat with his back against the wall, pistol in hand. His body was tense and his mouth was dry. He had been in dangerous situations before, but never like this. Never against enemies bred specifically to kill. "Vel," he said quietly, "if this goes wrong, I want you to run. Use the small tunnels, get away." "No. I mean it. You've survived here for 40 cycles. You can keep surviving. I'm already probably dead. There's no reason for both of us to die." Vel moved closer to him. The alien's voice was firm. "You offered me food when you had almost nothing. You showed respect to my dead. You called me friend. In 40 cycles alone, no one has ever done these things for me. I will not leave you." "Vel, this is my choice. You said choices make us who we are. I choose to stay." Wanted to argue, but he saw in Vel's eyes that it would be useless. He nodded once and turned back to watch the tunnel. The hunters came without sound. One moment the tunnel was empty, and the next, shapes were moving in the darkness beyond the glow of the fungi. Saw gleaming shells and sharp claws and eyes that reflected light like mirrors. The first hunter stepped on a fire fungus. The explosion was small but bright, and the hunter screamed with a sound that hurts ears. The creature fell back, its front legs burning. 2 more hunters rushed forward. They were fast, so fast that barely had time to aim. He fired twice. One bullet hit a hunter in the eye. The creature dropped instantly. The other bullet hit shell and bounced away. The second hunter reached the poison fungi. It crushed them under its claws without knowing, and green gas rose around it. The hunter stopped, confused, then began to shake violently before collapsing. 3 hunters left, 3 bullets remaining. They came together this time, moving carefully to avoid the remaining fungi traps. Fired again. Misfired again. Hit, but not a killing shot. The hunter stumbled but kept coming. 1 bullet left. Vel leaped forward. The alien moved faster than it ever seen, claws slashing at the nearest hunter. Fought in the glowing chamber, shells cracking against shells. The wounded hunter turned toward. It was hurt but not dead, and its claws were still sharp. Raised his pistol. 1 bullet, 1 chance. He waited until the hunter was almost on top of him. He could see his own reflection in its compound eyes. Then he fired. The bullet went through the hunter's mouth and into its brain. The creature fell at its feet. But there were still 2 more. Vel was losing. The outcast had courage but not the combat training of true hunters. One hunter pinned Vel to the ground while the other approached with claws raised. Threw his empty pistol at the hunter's face. It bounced off harmlessly, but the hunter paused for just a moment. Used that moment to grab a rock from the ground. He was going to die, he knew it, but he would not die without fighting. Then a sound filled the chamber, a roaring, screaming sound that came from everywhere at once. The hunters stopped. They looked up. Their bodies went rigid as chemical signals reached them from somewhere above. What started? Vel threw off the distracted hunter and scrambled to his side. Human ship, coming down fast. The communicator on its belt crackled to life. Static, then a voice. A beautiful, wonderful human voice. Captain, we tracked your signal. Incoming in 30 seconds. It was Lieutenant. His crew had found him. The hunters seemed to understand that their mission had failed. They turned and ran back down the tunnel, disappearing into the darkness. Fell against the wall. His hands were shaking. His whole body was shaking. They had survived. Against impossible odds, they had survived. Vel stood beside him, breathing hard. Your people, the alien said. They came for you. Yeah, managed a weak smile. That's what humans do. We don't leave our people behind. Above them, the sound of engines grew louder. Rescue was coming. But as relief washed over him, realized something. The real fight was not over. It was just beginning. Because now he had to convince his own people that the alien standing next to him was not an enemy. He looked at Vel, at this strange creature who had saved his life and fought beside him. He would find a way. He had to. The rescue shuttle landed in a storm of dust and fire. Its weapons pointed in every direction, ready to fight enemies that had already fled into the darkness. The hatch opened before the ship fully touched ground, and a figure jumped out with a rifle raised. Lieutenant. Her eyes scanned the area quickly, professionally. When she saw standing near the cave entrance, her face changed from hard soldier to relieved friend. Captain, she ran toward him. Then she saw Vel. Everything happened very fast. His rifle came up. She shouted a warning. Behind her, two more figures emerged from the shuttle, Engineer Lee and Medical Officer. They also raised their weapons. Captain, step away from the ordered. Moved in front of Vel instead. He raised his hands to show they were empty. Stand down, Lieutenant. This is Vel. Vel saved my life. Sir, that's our enemy. Vel is not our enemy. Lower your weapons. That's an order. Hesitated. Her rifle stayed up. Could see the conflict on her face. She was a good soldier, trained to follow orders. But she was also a smart woman who knew what had done to human colonies. Sir, with respect, how do you know this isn't a trick they are known for? If Vel wanted me dead, I would have died on my first night here. Vel watched me sleep. Vel could have killed me a dozen times. Instead, Vel brought me food, showed me shelter, and just helped me fight off 6 hunters. Now lower your weapons. Slowly, reluctantly, lowered her rifle, and followed her lead, but their eyes never left Vel. Vel had not moved during this exchange. The alien stood very still behind, making no threatening gestures. I understand fear, Vel said through the translator. The human crew tensed at the alien voice. Your people and the swarm have fought for a long time, much death on both sides, but I am not the swarm, I am outcast, enemy of the swarm same as you. Stepped forward. As a medical officer, she was trained to be calm in strange situations. Captain, you're injured. Let me look at your wounds. Had almost forgotten about the cuts and bruises covering his body. The fight with the hunters had added new injuries to old ones. He nodded and let approach. While she worked on his wounds, explained everything. He told them about the crash, about meeting Vel, about the drawings in the cave and the memorial stones for dead outcasts. He told them about the swarm's secret, about how they threw away their own people just for being different. Listened with growing interest. He was a scientist at heart, always curious about new things. So they aren't actually a perfect hive mind, he said. They produce individuals who can't connect to their collective. That's fascinating. It's more than fascinating, replied. It's a weakness they desperately want to hide, and Vel knows things about the swarm, things that could help humanity. Crossed her arms. And you believe this alien is telling the truth, that this isn't some elaborate trap? I do. I've spent days with Vel. I've seen the cave where Vel has lived alone for 40 years. I've seen art that no connected to the swarm would ever create. Vel is different. Vel is an individual. Turned to look at Vel directly. The alien met her gaze without flinching. If I may ask, said slowly, why should you help humans? Even if the swarm threw you away, we're still the enemy of your species. Vel was quiet for a moment. When the alien spoke, the translator gave the words a weight that surprised everyone. The swarm is not my species. The swarm is a machine made of living parts. Each part has no meaning alone, only the collective matters. I cannot be part of that machine, so to them I am nothing. But your captain showed me something different. He showed me that I can have meaning as individual. He showed me kindness when he had no reason to show kindness. If this is what humans are, then maybe humans are better than the swarm. Maybe helping humans is right thing to do. His expression softened slightly. She looked at. Captain, even if I believe all this, we have a bigger problem. There's a warship entering orbit right now. The hunters called for support before we drove them off. We need to leave immediately. Felt cold fear in his stomach. A warship, that changed everything. Can our shuttle outrun it? Maybe, if we leave right now and push the engines hard, but it will be close. Turned to Vel. The alien already understood what he was going to say. Go, Vel said. I will stay, I know this moon, I can hide. The warship will hunt you, not me. No. I said no, you're coming with us. Stepped forward. Captain, bringing aboard our shuttle is a security risk, and if the warship catches us, they'll definitely destroy us if they detect on board. Then we won't let them catch us. Walked toward the shuttle. Everyone on board, now that's an order. For a moment, no one moved. Could feel the tension in the air. His crew had followed him through many dangerous missions, but this was different. This was asking them to trust an alien from a species that had killed countless humans. Was first to move. He shrugged his shoulders and headed for the shuttle. The captain's orders are the captain's orders. Besides, I have about 1,000 questions about biology. Followed, I want to run some medical scans, for science. Was last, she looked at Vel with hard eyes, then at. If this alien betrays us, I'll kill it myself. Fair enough, said. They boarded the shuttle. Vel moved carefully, folding limbs to fit through the human-sized door. Inside, the alien looked out of place among the chairs and controls designed for human bodies. Took the pilot seat and started the engines. The shuttle lifted off the ground just as new signals appeared on the scanner. Hunter ships, 4 of them, coming fast. Get us out of here, Lieutenant. The shuttle shot upward through the brown atmosphere. The moon fell away beneath them, that ugly gray ball that had almost been his grave. He felt no sadness at leaving it behind. The hunter ships followed. They were faster than the shuttle, designed for exactly this kind of chase. Warning lights flashed as they gained distance. They're going to catch us before we can jump, said. Vel moved to look at the scanner display. Compound eyes studied the patterns of light and data. There, turn there. The alien pointed with one claw. What? Gravity anomaly, the same one that made your ship crash. If we go through at right angle, we can use it to push us faster. The hunters will have to go around. Looked at, he nodded. Do it. She turned the shuttle toward the invisible danger that had nearly killed them all days ago. The hunter ships followed for a moment, then suddenly veered away. They knew the anomaly. They feared it. The shuttle hit the edge of the gravity distortion and shook violently. Every alarm screamed at once. Gripped his seat as the ship seemed to twist in directions that shouldn't exist. Then they were through. The ship shot forward at incredible speed, carried by forces that human science barely understood. The hunter ships were far behind now, unable to follow. Jump point in range, said, her voice shaky but triumphant. Jumping in 3, 2, 1. The stars stretched into lines of light. The shuttle entered hyperspace. They were safe. Let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. Around him, his crew did the same. Even Vel's shell seemed to relax slightly. That was too close, said. But we made it, grinned, and we have a lot to tell the folks back home. Looked at Vel. The alien was staring out the window at the strange lights of hyperspace. Are you okay? Asked. I have never left that moon. 40 cycles, always the same gray rocks, same brown sky. Now, Vel's voice through the translator sounded strange, almost emotional. Now everything is new. It's going to get harder from here, warned. My people won't trust you easily. You'll face fear and hate and suspicion. Are you ready for that? Vel turned to look at him. Those compound eyes reflected the lights of the ship's controls. You asked me to come. You said be more than what they made me. I will try, even when success is not certain. Smiled, good, because I have a feeling we're going to need each other. The shuttle flew on through hyperspace, carrying an unlikely pair toward an uncertain future. But for the first time since the crash, felt something he had almost forgotten. Hope. 3 months passed. 3 months of questions, tests, arguments, and fear. Vel spent most of that time in a special facility on Earth's orbital station, surrounded by scientists who wanted to study and soldiers who wanted to guard. Some days felt like prison. Other days felt like being a strange animal in a cage. But visited every day. He brought food that Vel could eat and stories about his life on Earth. He taught Vel more human words and listened when Vel talked about the loneliness that still felt heavy sometimes. They became more than survivors who had shared danger. They became true friends. The day finally came when Vel stood before the United Earth Council. The great chamber was filled with representatives from every nation on the planet. Hundreds of human faces looked down at the alien standing alone on the speaker's platform. Sat in the front row with his crew, and had agreed to testify on Vel's behalf. Even, who had been most suspicious at the start, had come to respect the alien after months of watching Vel answer endless questions with patience and honesty. The council president, an old woman with sharp eyes and white hair, called the session to order. We are here to discuss the proposal for what has been called the Outcast Initiative. The alien known as Vel will speak first. Vel stepped forward. The translator had been upgraded many times over the past months. Now it carried not just words but also emotion, turning Vel's clicks and whistles into smooth human speech. Leaders of humanity, I thank you for allowing me to speak. I know many of you have lost family and friends to the swarm. I know you have reason to hate anything that looks like me, but I ask you to listen. The chamber was completely silent. Every eye was fixed on the alien. I was born broken. In the swarm, this means I had no connection to the collective mind. I could not hear the thoughts of others. I could not feel what they felt. To the swarm, I was worse than enemy. I was mistake. So they threw me away on a dead moon to die alone. Vel paused. When the alien spoke again, the voice was harder. But I am not alone in this. The swarm produces many like me. Thousands of us, thrown away across the galaxy on hidden prison moons. The swarm does not want anyone to know this because it shows they are not perfect. Their great collective mind sometimes creates individuals, and individuals are dangerous. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Saw council members leaning together, whispering. This was new information to most of them. I survived 40 cycles alone. I learned to think without the collective. I learned to feel things that no swarm-connected ever feels: compassion, loneliness, hope. And when Captain Park crashed on my moon, I learned something else. I learned that enemies do not have to stay enemies. Vel turned to look at in the crowd. This human had every reason to fear me, every reason to hate me. But instead of shooting, he talked. Instead of running, he shared his food. Instead of leaving me behind when rescue came, he insisted I come with him. He saw me as individual, not as monster. Vel faced the council again. I am here to tell you that the swarm has a weakness. Not just the outcasts like me, but something bigger. The collective mind is becoming unstable. Too many voices fighting for control. Too many worlds to manage. Too many individual thoughts trying to break free. The swarm leaders are scared. They hide this fear behind aggression and conquest, but inside they are falling apart. A council member stood up. His face was red with anger. Why should we believe you? This could all be a trick. You could be a spy sent to make us lower our guard. Felt his hands tighten into fists. He wanted to stand and defend Vel, but this was not his moment. Vel faced the angry man without fear. You have studied me for 3 months. Your scientists have scanned every part of my body. Your experts have asked me thousands of questions. I have hidden nothing, but I understand your doubt. I cannot prove my loyalty with words alone. I can only show you through actions. What actions? I know the locations of 7 other prison moons. 7 places where outcasts like me have been abandoned. If you send ships, you will find others who hate the swarm as much as you do. Others who can think for themselves and want to be free. Together, we could build something the swarm fears most. An alliance of individuals. The chamber exploded with noise. Council members shouted over each other. Some called the idea insane. Others said it was worth trying. The president had to call for order 3 times before silence returned. She looked at Vel with those sharp old eyes. You are asking us to trust. You understand why that is difficult. I understand. The swarm has killed many of your people, but I am not asking you to trust the swarm. I am asking you to trust the outcasts. We are not the swarm. We are its victims, same as you. The president turned to Captain Park. You have spent more time with this alien than anyone. You have seen it in danger and in safety. What is your assessment? Stood, his heart was beating fast, but his voice was steady. Honored council, on that moon I had nothing to offer. I was injured, lost, and probably dying. Vel had no reason to help me, no strategic advantage, no orders from any collective, but Vel chose to help anyway, not because of logic, because of something else, something we call humanity. He stepped out from his row and walked toward the speaker's platform. I have seen Vel's home, a cave filled with art and gardens and a memorial to other outcasts who died alone. No creature without a soul creates art. No monster builds memorials for the dead. Vel is not our enemy. Vel is proof that even in the darkest places, even in species we think are beyond saving, individuals can rise above what they were made to be. He stood next to Vel now, human and alien side by side. You ask why we should trust any. I say we should trust Vel because of what I saw on that moon. I saw someone who was thrown away by their own people choose to keep hopping. I saw someone who had every reason to become bitter and hateful choose to remain kind. I saw someone who could have survived by staying hidden choose to risk everything to help a stranger. Looked around the chamber at all those watching faces. That sounds pretty human to me, and if Vel can be that kind of person, then maybe there are others. Maybe we don't have to fight the forever. Maybe we can find the ones who want something different and build something new together. He turned back to the president. I believe in this alliance. I believe in Vel, and I'm asking you to believe too. The chamber was quiet, could feel the weight of hundreds of decisions being made in hundreds of minds. The future hung in the balance. Finally, the president spoke. We will vote. The voting took only minutes. Each council member entered their choice into the system. When the results appeared on the big screen, felt tears forming in his eyes. The Outcast initiative passed, by a small margin, but it passed. Vel stood very still beside him. Through the translator, one word came out. Thank you. Put his hand on Vel's arm, the same gesture he had made in the cave months ago. We're just getting started, he said. There's a lot of work to do. Yes, but now we do it together. Months later, the first outcast ship returned from a prison moon. It carried 15 survivors, all of them individuals who had been thrown away by the swarm. They were scared and confused, but they were alive. And when they saw Vel, when they learned that humans had chosen to save them instead of kill them, something changed in their eyes. Hope. The same hope that had seen in Vel's eyes that first night in the crashed ship. The same hope that had carried them through danger and doubt and fear. The same hope that now spread across the galaxy as word of the Alliance grew. The swarm watched with growing unease. Their perfect collective was showing cracks. Their secrets were being exposed. And worst of all, their discarded children were coming back to haunt them. In the darkness of space, on ships that flew between stars, humans and outcasts worked together. They shared meals and stories and dreams. They learned that enemies were not always what they seemed. They discovered that the universe was not just a place of war and fear, but also a place where friendship could bloom in the most unexpected ways. And it all began with two castaways on a forgotten moon, choosing to see each other as something more than enemies. Choosing to try, even when success was not certain. Choosing to be human. The end.